Okay, so I wanted to pull this training together because it was a hot topic. It was something that I hear people ask a lot about and really struggle with as kind of from my bird's eye view of this team. It's something that I've observed. It's not unique to Hue and Grace. It's definitely something I observed in the last 10 years in just the world of sales. We are salespeople. And so we have sales weeks and sales, like we have a cadence. Our sales month, our business month goes from the 1st to the 30th, 31st, it goes from the start of the month to the end of the month. Um, the trends and patterns that I often see is a lot of quiet and then panic the last 3 days of the month. Um, and I say panic because like that's the energy that I'm feeling based off of what compares the first half, right? A lot of quiet. I don't see a lot of people posting, sharing, engaged, showing up on trainings like this. But then at last week of the month is like everyone kind of wakes up and goes, "Oh my gosh, shoot, I have a paycheck to earn or I have goals to hit." And so if that sounds like you're not alone. But I also want to help redirect that because that's not going to build you a healthy, sustainable business. That isn't good for your mental health. It isn't good for your momentum or just your long-term growth. That is going to cause a lot of like whiplash and probably results in some sales that are kind of last minute pushes that don't end up turning into like recurring, like may not even turn into passive recurring income because it's just you're like giving away the farm trying to get someone to say yes versus just getting them there through constant nurturing. Does that make sense? It's really hard when I don't see faces for nonverbals, but I do see Dawn and Shelley, so thank you for the nonverbals. I'll look to you. So I wanted to go through kind of what has become almost intrinsic for me. Like I had to sit and think about what do I do? So then I can teach it because I've just done it for so long. It just kind of has become autopilot for me. And that would be my goal for you, that it just becomes autopilot. It doesn't start as autopilot. I had to be really um intentional about how I ran my business. Um, because I know that's really cliche but I'll continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. Like if you don't treat this business like it's an actual business, like it's your actual job, it will never convert into something that pays you well, right? Something that really helps you create passive income that can free you. Whether that goal for that income is 7 figures and like a lifestyle complete transformation, or it's I just want to be able to pay for my kids' sports or to be able to go on vacation or cover organic grocery, right? There's two ends of the spectrum, and most of us live somewhere in between, and that's beautiful. Own that, and we're going to talk about that. But if that's what we're trying to build here, and you're just showing up the last few days of the month, or kind of treating this like it's just a fun time little side thing, that's fine. Just be honest with what you're really trying to build here. If it's just a fun side hobby that you're just here for the community and because you love the products, you want a discount, and you want to be able to share this a little here and there, great. There's no judgment with that. Own it. Own that that's your goal, right? And then we'll make sure that we're showing up for that objective. If your goal is what I just said earlier, and some sort of financial objective or need or desire, then own that. But then we have to reverse engineer that, which just means like walk it backwards. It's easy to say, I'll use like my initial goal that I needed to get to with Hue and Grace is I was at 10 to 12,000 a month with Beachbody, and that had already dropped a lot. But that was like my like, no, this is my line in the sand. Like this is where I need to get back to feel like I have just moved forward, right? And I know that that's a stupid amount of money, but that was where that was my line in the sand, right? I own that, and so I had to go. If I need to get there, what does my month need to look like? And this is where you have to personalize this process. You have to decide what does your output and energy look like. And what I mean by that is what I did my first couple years took a lot more time and energy and brain power than a lot of this stuff does now because it has become autopilot because I don't have to think so hard about a post or a conversation. I have more skills in the sales recruiting department than I had 10, 11 years ago, right? So you will become more of a master in these areas the more you do them. It takes like 10,000 hours to become a master in something. So just own that process. But so what I can do now, I have a higher return on time, a higher return on my energy than I did in the beginning. So I just say that if like you don't see the actual conversion right away, that's okay. You will get there. It just takes time. I've been doing this a long time. A lot of us have been doing this a long time, but I am still a beginner here and throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Okay. So, I don't hear people saying that they're frustrated, but I know I get frustrated with myself when things aren't moving as fast as I want them to move. I'm really, really, really hard on myself. I'm not as hard on other people, but I'm pretty hard on myself. Not if you're like, yeah, I can get pretty hard on myself too. So, and that's just human. And if this is something that, we care about, we want it to do well. So I am going to share slides. I know like a couple of you heard this when I did this training recently, but let me see if I can make these a little bigger. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Doop. Okay. So I'm kind of breaking this down into, so I know what my goal, I have to know the direction, right? I have to know what my goal is, so I know where to point my ship. And then throughout the month, I think of it like I'm using a sailing analogy here. Throughout the month, I'm just sailing along, but I have to tune in and check in with my chart, right? My map to make sure I am on track to where my destination point is, because we can get off track really easy. So we need to set like check-in points to ourselves in our business, right? So that's what I'm gonna kind of walk you through what my check-in points are. Because I can really easily, I'm very ADHD, I'm very busy, I have a million spinning plates. And if I'm not organized with this, I could be like, I've often ended months where I'm like, oh crap, what did I do? Like, how did I end up here? This was not my plan for the month. So I know this is a lot of words. This is just more for me than you, but so to start the month, I would say we're still very much at the start of the month. And so at the start of every month, I set my goals. And so this is where we're going to take like 5 minutes here. And I just want you to free write or even voice memo to yourself. I want you to get really clear. And this is the most important step of this. Okay. Is making sure you know your goals, not my goals for you, not your upline's goals for you. What are your goals for yourself? Okay. That is, and I want you to get, if we're really treating our business like a business, then you got to get specific, right? We all know what SMART goals are. I'm not going to do a training on that, but the S in SMART is specific, right? So we're going to get specific. What is your rank goal? Just write down. For end of May, what's your rank goal? You can put it in the, you don't have to put it in the chat, but if you want to, you can. Or if you all just want to, if you're working with me, unmute and just say it out loud. My rank goal for this month, if anyone wants to know it, I don't know that we'll get there, but my goal is senior director. I want to be the first senior director in Hue and Grace. And that is my goal for our team this month. And if I don't hit it this month, then we'll hit it next month or the month after. But that's my goal. That was my goal last month too. But so what is the OV attached to that rank, or just what is your OV goal, your organizational volume goal? Write it down and put it in the chat. I love this. Senior advocate, associate mentor. So a lot of ranks here at Hue and Grace have an OV requirement, right? To hit that goal. You can surpass that, by all means, surpass that. For example, senior advocate is 800 OV goal. I saw someone put, let's see how bad my memory is. I just read it. AMG. So minimum OV goal will have to be 12,000, Tammy, right? So what is your, to Dana, 3,000, mentor, 1,500, perfect. See, so this is why we're getting real intentional here. Now, as we build on this habit, I'm not going to talk too long about this. I want you to track this month to month, because if your goal is 1,000 and you hit it, next month, I need you to up your goal a little bit, right? We want to be growing. It doesn't have to be like 1,000 to 5,000, but it can be 1,000 to 1,500, 1,000 to 1,200. Let's keep ourselves moving a little forward. Okay, income goal. So what is your income goal for this month? That can be combined with team bonus, commissions. And this is where it gets really personal. What do you need your income to be sustaining what you need this to bring in? What do you need it to be to feel good about it, to feel like it's growing, to take some stress off of your plate. I don't know anyone that doesn't have some income stress, some money stress in their life. And you don't have to share this number, but put it down, okay? And maybe put like what your bottom line is, but also maybe what would be really nice. Sometimes those aren't, like sometimes we have two different numbers floating in our brain. Okay, so what is your recruiting goal? Okay, so sometimes we tie that right in with rank. If you know that your goal is SMT and you have two girls that are women, friends, teammates that are constantly hitting SAV, but you don't have that third one you can rely on consistently for SMT, right? Then your recruiting goal would likely be wrapped around finding some builders, someone who a few like, I would say if you look at kind of what I've always been taught, the law of numbers in network marketing, out of every 10 people, one will like take the ball and run with it and like crush it. So reverse engineer that. I don't think SAV isn't really that just, I think SAV is a really easy low target for someone that's starting out. Like we just had someone hit SAV in a day. I've had that happen a few times. So that doesn't have to be a huge one, but what do you need to be bringing on is my point. So put a number, put it in the chat. How many advocates, or if you're focusing on retail, how many retail clients are you bringing in? If your goal is, if you're just, focusing on affiliate, like what is that number? What I like to do is my goal every month is 10 advocates. That's just a goal that I like to hold myself accountable to. I don't always hit it, for sure, but what I do is I write 10 tally marks on my whiteboard. You can see I have a little whiteboard here that I track everything. I just put 10 tally marks at the bottom, and every time someone enrolls, I just erase a tally mark. It just keeps me motivated. It keeps me focused on something that has the biggest return on investment. The biggest return period is growing my team. Okay, so sales, PV goals. So we know we get 25% commission all the way up to 40% commission based off sales. So what's that PV target? Again, this is something I would encourage you to like stretch yourself. If you know last month you hit 1,000 and you got that charger, so you did it, then your sales goal should be at least 1,000 again. I would challenge you to go a little bit higher. Keep yourself growing. You just showed yourself what you're capable of, and I guarantee you're capable of so much more. But also, that's your income you're going to compound. A lot of those people hopefully are on Subscribe and Save, or you can get them on Subscribe and Save, so that becomes your passive base. So let's add to that. Leadership training. What I mean by this is like you have to start acting like the leader you want to be now, right? No one just says like, hey, Shelly, you are now a leader. You have reached this spot in your business, and I've now given you the baton of leadership. That isn't really how it works. You are the leader you say you are, right? You just start owning it. So like, how are you leading your team? Maybe it's a team of one. My first team call I ever led, you guys, I had one person show up. I had a big team, but one person showed up, and I led that call like a boss. I recorded it. My second call, no one showed up. So you know what I did? I led my training. I recorded it. I shared the recording. No big deal. I don't let those kind of things slow me down. I just own it, and I do better. But I didn't let that stop me from leading, becoming a good leader, from offering trainings, from creating the systems that make this machine move smoothly. A lot of times I'll start as a new leader. I encourage you, and what I did when I first started here is I took all of the frequently asked questions, the conversations I found myself having over and over and over and over again, right? You know which ones I'm talking about, when it's like the same things we're having with every new person. Turn that, make some notes, record, and then make a training about it. Create a system. And then you can hand that person next time someone asks you that same question. You're like, actually, I have a 15-minute training on that. Here you go. So that's what I mean there. Personal development, professional development. This was definitely hammered into us at Beachbody. I don't like think it has to be the thing we live and die by, but I do think continuing to grow your skill set is really important. When I first started 10 years ago, I knew nothing about social media, nothing. And I could tell it was really gonna be a hindrance to me, because at that time, That was the way people were finding success. So I read Jab, 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 Right book by Gary Vaynerchuk. I read Thank You Economy. I watched YouTube trainings. I like really put like a PD, IV in social media. Shortly after that, I was like, I recognize that I have limits on my leadership ability. I want to be a good leader. So I like put in that PD, IV, personal development IV of leadership. And I just like engorged myself there. I've done the same with sales trainings. I've done the same with mindset work. So what is your area that you're wanting to strengthen? If it's an area that you're like, hey, I'm really good at this, I want to get better, strengthen your strengths, great. If it's an area where like, this keeps happening to me, I keep, intermingling myself out of my goals. I keep getting people interested and not able to close the deal, whatever it is, right? Find that area. I guarantee you there's some really great personal and professional development out there. Um, to start, we have amazing professional development in our knowledge center, in our formulator calls. That's product development. Like that is personal and professional development right there. Get competent and excited. I've seen all the screenshots of the graduation certificates for the hormone health course. That's professional development. Those are all great things. But I would say like keep growing yourself too. Um, and then I always want you to set goals around your life. This should not be your life. This should not be your identity. I mean, it very much can be. I've definitely gone through that season in my business, my career as well. But I want to have a full, rich, balanced life. I'm gonna work my butt off here, but I want to make sure I am really enriched in all areas. So that's faith, that's family, that's my fitness goals, those are my hobbies. That's, my health is my priority because I know what it's like to lose your health because you're burnt out and you're stressed or whatever. My investments, I want to be really smart about money in this season of my life. My expansion, my stretch goals. So what are those? Okay. So take a minute and just like jot some things down around those last few. What is one thing you can commit to for training or a leadership activity this month? And I will just say you are all carte blanche, always welcome to just pop into our team page with a post, with a live video, whatever you want, with a tool, and offer that to the team. You don't have to have a team you're leading, and you can lead everyone. That the invite is there, the hope and the ask is there that everyone just leads how you want to lead in that space. All right, I'm going to be quiet for 60 seconds so you can write down some goals there. I really want you to have this part done.
Hey, Jamie, can I ask a question? So, one of the things that I think about when we're making rank goals, obviously, is we're dependent on other people. So, sometimes I find myself hesitant to make like big stretch rank goals because that obviously involves others. So I suppose as I'm trying to consider answering that myself, because obviously we can't force people to do things, right? So then it comes back to that recruiting, I suppose. But can you kind of speak to that conundrum that we have when we're dependent on others?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's where, um, so there's so like you just kind of touched on, there are a lot of facets to that, right? Like we are all connected. We can't be successful without other people being successful as well. And I can't make someone want this more than I can't want this for someone more than they want it for themselves. So part of it is just having a dialogue with that person. Like if if it was like, if I needed you to grow for me to grow, I would just have a one-on-one with you and be like, hey, well, tell me how you're feeling. Have this conversation, take this, like do this kind of exercise and set goals together and just get real honest. A lot of times people will say something because they're afraid to they don't want to disappoint you, or they think they should say like, I really want SMT, when they know full well like that's not actually something they're not doing the work on. And so I try to make it really like okay to whatever your goals are. Like, just let me know what your goals are, what you're committing to this month, so that I can show up and support you in that, but also so then I can set my own goals. So a lot of times in the start of the month, I'll like tell my, personally sponsored people, like, hey, what are your goals? So that I can set my goals, right? So part of it's just like a dialogue and knowing that is connected, but I also don't want to shift that energy, that power differential, where someone like someone feels this pressure because I need them to do something that will help me. It also helps them, but so I really own that in the sense that I just focus on recruiting and bringing up more leaders. Like, rather than like helicoptering Tammy, I'm gonna go refine 3 more people. I'm gonna spend and just continue to bring more people in so that Tammy can rise in her time, while also like supporting, Tammy, you, and like that pace of your own, and nudging you forward. So it's like kind of a juggling act, because it's like I want to support you in growing, but I'm not going to let your pace slow me down if I want to grow faster. And so that's a numbers game, really. It's like go find the people. I hate this analogy, but it works. But like, I mean, it applies. Like, it's easier to give birth than raise the dead. Like, and so like and I say that to myself because sometimes I find myself just like, but I know she really wanted this, or I know she was really doing so great, and I'll helicopter, and that just pushes people away. It stresses them out. They feel a lot of pressure. Not that we all need a little pressure, but it just doesn't, it's not healthy, I find, big picture. So I will if I know that for director I needed 3 SMTs, so I focused on 5 people that could get to SMT, like knowing that like how did I do that? Did you guys see that? Shelly, did you see that? There was like
Your fireworks.
fireworks went off all around me. Oh my God, sorry, that was really weird. Um, so anyway, and that isn't going to be something that necessarily converts in like a minute, but I believe if you're very hyper focused and really clear, and you're doing all the work energetically to get to a goal, and you're continuing to bring new energy in and recruiting, I have seen miracles happen in this business more times than I can count, where like that SMT that's going to go SMT in 2 weeks comes 2 weeks before your deadline. You know what I mean? Like, just, I mean, that's the law of attraction and manifesting or whatever. I know it's a little wooey, but that's what I think God rewards us for, being that laser focused and committed. Like, I'm not sitting here worrying about how I'm not going to hit it. I'm focused on solutions. And so like, that would be my best tip. But also, we have a really special, unique thing here at Hue and Grace, where we can move people around and build and take ownership of that. So that's probably a different call, but like, I just remember that you also don't have to wait. Like, if you've got 2 gals who say they want it and you need one, and they're both partway there, or they get really close, then maybe one gets moved under the other, and they become a team, and they work together, and you build that, whatever that you need for that rank. I would say take whatever you can control into your own hands. I can't control how hard you work, how hard Don works, how hard Dana works, but I can control how I clump my volume under me on my first level, right? And stuff like that. So that is part of what we're allowed to do here. So I would say, like, do it. Again, like when I was pushing for director and I knew I needed 3, and I was like, okay, I have 5, but then I also started working on building an SMT by pushing, like, I had a bunch of people who are doing, a lot of people doing a little. So I was like, okay, we will move some people, and I will work smarter, not harder. So does that help? It's like multifaceted.
Can I
Um,
chime in on this?
yeah.
I haven't even had a chance to talk this through with you yet, but this is what I'm planning, because I'm pushing for associate mentor and I don't have any working advocates yet. So I, like you, don't want to be pushy with people if they're not fully ready to dive in. So I was like brainstorming, like, how can I accomplish helping someone get 800 volume without them actually like fully going all in. So I have 3 girls. 2 are signed up as advocates just for the discount and because they want to eventually, but that have opted to allow me to host a 3-day party for them. So I'm setting up a Facebook group for them. I'm scheduling the content. They're adding all their friends and family that are interested in it. We're going to do a couple giveaways in it, and they're signed up as advocates. So they're going to sign up the people from the group. So it's benefiting them, but it's also benefiting me. And it just felt like a more creative, like tangible way to do that right now without having to kind of force people to that. So
I love that idea. I think that's 100%. And like a lot of people, they don't know how to take action right away. So I like if you go back to like my teacher hat, and I spent 12 years as a school counselor, the method that you're taught in education training is I do, we do, you do. I think that I apply that here a lot. Like I will do it. I have to do it. That's just my learning style. Like I have to go figure out how to do this. I have to go do it wrong. I have to get it right. And then we can do it together. And then like then you can go do it on your own, because like so I do, we do, you do. So I do that a lot. Like I'll get people, I'm like, okay, you watch me, I'll lead by example. Okay, now let's do it together. All right, now I'm going to support you and cheer you on while you do it and leave the nest. So I think that's a perfect illustration of how to do that. Okay, let's keep moving. So calendar accordingly. So I know, so if we've got our numbers, right, then I take out, and this is what I use for my calendar. I ordered this from Amazon and I live and die by this. I'll then later go put it in my phone, but I will, if it's not on this, then I probably will lose my brain. But this is where I plan my monthly rhythm, my monthly flow of my business and my business focus. Okay. So I make sure I have at the start of the month, I'm putting in when I have recruiting calls. If you want to grow your team and help your team and yourself recruit, then you should be hosting business opportunity calls, whether it's an Instagram live, whether it's one-on-one calls, whether it's a small group thing, whether it's you and another advocate with a slide deck and you're doing like a webinar. There's so many different ways to do it, but I say do it all, like give, throw out different things. So, because people are going to say yes to different things. What catches one person's attention will be white noise to someone else. I always joke. I had a very successful career at Beachbody, and I would have never in a million years signed up to be in a challenge group ever. Like, and that's okay. But I saw something else that caught my attention. It was like a girls' night, a networking dinner at a restaurant I liked in town. And I was like, I want to be part of that. But I had seen this girl in my upline post for 2-3 months, every few days about a challenge group. And it was white noise to me. She just switched a little, switched her angle, switched her perspective, and I was hooked. I was like, absolutely, I want in there. So you have to like cast your net really wide, you know? And so I think it's a gift. That's why it can be a gift in a season where we're, unfortunately, out of hydrate and detox. But for a lot of people, that was the only thing they were talking about. It's now forcing people to go talk about something else, which might be the thing that gets someone in the door. Okay. So recruiting calls, pop-ups. I still haven't done this yet, but it's something that's I look at and I think sounds so fun. I'm still feel very new and disconnected to my community in Vermont, but events, in-person events, pop-ups, home parties, virtual home parties like Dana just talked about, networking events. Tammy, we're going to do a training on the 23rd. It's going to be so, so good about all sorts of ways to build off of social media, and Tammy will be on that as well, and I'm so excited about this. Calendar your team trainings. We know on our team, we offer these lunch and learns the second and fourth Thursdays, right? We know we do 1 or 2 hormone harmony events. We know like Kirsty hosts a team meeting the first and third Mondays. Like calendar it out. Also, it helps your team know how to plan their life, right? So figure out what that's going to look like for you. Getting started calls, like you don't have to turn your life into a pretzel. You can set some time and work hours and boundaries on when you're on your phone, when you're off, when you're working, when you're not. But do make it really clear, this is when I'm available. This is when I can get on a call with you. This is when I want to do my check-ins each month. Calendar that. And you don't have to hold all of this. We have this amazing team. You can use these events that we're doing and plug into your upline, into this, team hub. So that's kind of what I do to start my month. I kind of get organized. I get really clear and organized. And then I start the month, actually our kickoff call every month is a really perfect way to, Hugh and Grace makes a lot of this really easy for us. But at the beginning of the month, I do a lot of recognition. if you follow me, you will see you will probably notice that I use recognition really strategically. I use recognition to build people's confidence, to help people see what their wins are, to celebrate and build fun. Like, like Dana would just hit mentor. Her world doesn't know what mentor means. People don't know what senior advocate means. That doesn't matter. We're going to show in those recognition posts what that means in terms of like they're going to see a bunch of people celebrating and excited and cheering you on. And that means like now Dana's social currency went up on her following. Like, I don't know what she's doing, but she's doing well. And therefore I'm gonna like be paying attention and tuning in a little bit. I also use recognition to talk about objections sometimes. I'll use recognition to be like, well, when Tammy came in, she had, was busy traveling all the time. She had no time. She was, family had a successful family business, but she, or whatever, right? I'll share whatever their unique objections or what other people might be like, well, I can't do this because of this, but now Tammy has shown that to be the opposite of the truth. So I'll share objections and tell that story sometimes. And then other times, like for Dana's mentor post, I used it just to explain what being new, the perks of being new in our business world, or like the things that she's earned. Like I'll educate. I'll use that as like a little behind the scenes of like, what does this actually mean? Or just show like big picture, what is your team doing? Like I like those slides that we have in that kickoff call. You can own this from day one. This is your team. You can show those screenshots. Most every person on those kickoff call graphics the last several months have been our team. So, you can share those screenshots and look at this, look at my team. You can literally say, look at my team. And that's 1,000% true because it is your team. And that's something to celebrate. You can share other people's success stories here. If you're like still working on your success story and it's one thing you're wanting to also achieve, you can share their story. But recognition is a really powerful tool. It also, I think, shows what kind of leader you're going to be, right? So if someone's looking at joining you and they know like words of affirmation are definitely my love language. And so it's a lot of people's love language, right? And so I think it will attract certain people too, to be like, oh, I want someone to make me feel like that. That's my hope, at least. So be the leader you want to have. Okay. So it's at the beginning of the month. So I will spend time intentionally at the beginning of the month to really make sure my last month's customers and advocates are feeling good, that they have a game plan for the month. I'll make sure my customers got their products, that they're liking their products. We'll talk through what if they don't like it, or maybe a different way to mix up their collagen if they're like, just tried it with water and they were like, that wasn't working for me, something like that, right? And so I spend some time making sure I'm like duplicating for my advocates, making sure that they have a game plan for the month. And let me see what else. I can't read my slide here. And then leading out loud. So that kind of goes in with like just getting my advocates going strong. I want to show what I'm doing and help someone kind of duplicate. So it's kind of like I want to be able to follow in my footsteps. So you again, that kind of goes to that like I do, we do, you do. So there are certain people that will just fly out of the nest from day one, and there's some that never want to leave the nest. And like, I want to help people move forward. My goal, like, think of it if you have a human baby, right? Like, you don't want them in diapers and breastfeeding their entire life. That is not going to work for them. That is not going to work for you. So the same goes for like baby advocates, right? We want to give them their time, but also help them mature and grow up, because ultimately their success is going to come from being independent, right? And being able to find their voice in this while being connected to our mothership and our team. And so I think that these steps are really key in building a good foundation so that you're not just replacing people. I mean, network marketing is always going to have attrition. Any sales business, any company, not just network marketing, any commerce space is going to have attrition, meaning people are going to fall off. and come back and move on to the next shiny out. Like there's just always going to be people that come and go. Especially if you're bringing in advocates who are brand new to network marketing. This is different. It's being your own boss and being self-managed is not an easy thing, and it's not for everyone. And so you're going to find people come in with big hopes and dreams and then just don't translate that into work ethic or desire, right? Because they're like, oh, I thought this was going to be, even if you said it's hard work and it's hard, they still want that like get rich quick and easy. And that's just never going to be the case in this industry. So retaining people, setting them up with the realistic expectations, getting them set up strong with a belief in the company, a belief in the product, connection to why they're using it, connection to why they're here, right? Spending that time at the beginning of the month is really like sowing that seed, for kind of laying that soil. Okay, so that's the beginning of the month. It's a lot, but not really a lot. And again, like if this is like, this is so much, then pick one thing. Next month, come back to this slide and then try adding a second thing. This is my flow that has grown and evolved over a decade, y'all. So, but it isn't a ton. It's just a checklist for yourself. Okay. And you have all the time you need to take to do this. So when I have that vision of what my month looks like, I will, when I'm on my game, and I'm not always, I will map out what my social media will feel like for the month. Okay. So I'll give myself weekly focuses, and often I'll do like, I'll focus on recruiting one month. Like this week is more of a recruiting week. I usually do recruiting more the first couple weeks, and then the last couple weeks I'll focus more on products. Why? Because recruiting conversations take longer. I want to, if I plant those seeds earlier in the month, then I'll have all month for them to convert. Actually, they take a few months, but if I'm relying on a conversation that, if I've got my own advocate, my own recruiting goals every month, and I'm not planting that seed or starting the conversation until the end of the month, it's probably not going to convert in time, right? But sales conversations convert relatively fast. How many of you have seen an ad pop up on Instagram or Facebook and bought it within 5 minutes or 10 minutes or the same day? Like all of us, right? Like, so sales decisions don't always, they can take a while, but most of the time those convert a little faster. Hugh and Grace does a really great job giving us what to sell. If you want a sense of urgency, they do a sale or a bundle or a deal or a promotion every month that I've been here. This month we have a special focus every week for our third birthday, right? So you can use what they give us. It gives a sense of urgency, it gives a deadline, or you can just focus on what brings you joy, right? If you're like I have no infertility story. I have no children of my own. I have no close family members. I have a lot of friends, but I have no one in my immediate family has had an infertility struggle. So like last month when we had that big infertility week, it wasn't something that made sense for me to really like jump on that train because it didn't fit. It didn't fit with me. It would have been something I was just kind of doing because it was something everyone else was doing. And so you can make those choices of like, this doesn't work from this fits, this doesn't fit. That doesn't mean I couldn't if I wanted to talk about infertility, but it just didn't make sense for me at that time. And so focus on what brings you joy. Some people really like I really loved getting all excited about cleaning products last month. That was really fun. I gave myself a goal, I gave myself a challenge, and I just focused on that. So find what brings you joy, but also just know that, and that probably is what your audience wants. But if you know that, like if you know your audience really wants, my audience wants wellness because I've trained it to want wellness for 10 years. So I lean into that. And so we go from there. So where am I at with that? And so sometimes I think another great idea is like just pick one product for the month. Especially a lot of people I see get really overwhelmed with like trying to sell all the things. So what has worked for me, like I just said, with the cleaning products last month, I just especially it worked because we were sold out of hydrogen detox. I only talked about the cleaning products. I talked about the reusable paper towels and our spray. And that helped me stay focused, helped me stay really clear and organized in my messaging. I also did a lot of recruiting. So those were my 2 focuses last month. You can pick one product that really, like, for a while, I just talked about collagen because it is like the thing that has made my hair go crazy. And so whatever, and I like talking about that, right? I really enjoyed talking about sleep when it was Sleep Awareness Month, and that's something that's really helped me. So you pick the thing that works for you, and then just go be a master in that topic. Go be a master in that product, and then block out the rest. Does that make sense? Like, I want to give you permission to just block out the stuff that's overwhelming you. So if, like, having a different focus each week this month, it feels like a lot, then don't. Pick one. Pick 1 week. Pick one focus. Pick one product, or just pick one vertical. And then if you're brand new, like I'm new to the skincare world. I'm still learning about skin a lot. And so I just will, like, share what I'm learning as I learn it. Okay. So, like, just go, like, be a sponge and then wring out the sponge to your audience and, like, regurgitate what you're learning. But do take some time and look at, like, what is that going to be? What is your focus going to be? And then plan out, like, your reels, some content. You don't have to show up every day in social media in this day and age. If you want to, and if that works for you, then great. But the way social media works these days is, like, you can have a few quality posts versus, like, in 2013, you had to have like 3 quality posts every single day. And I did it, like, religiously, and it drained the life out of me. Now I can have a few quality posts in a week. And as long as they're, like, in my feed or a reel that will continue to, like, kind of live on, then it keeps working for me. Facebook keeps working for me. So anyway, that makes sense? I'm gonna keep going because I'm running behind on time. Okay, so the 15th. This is really fun. This is kind of my favorite thing I love to nerd out about in with you and Grace, because we have our auto ships, our subscribe and saves go out the 1st and the 15th. So the 15th, before the 15th, I will go into my subscribe and saves that are coming out on the 15th. And I will go see who's got stuff coming, and I will just take the opportunity to offer really great customer service. I'll go, Dawn, Tammy, Mary Beth, Dana, like, this is what I've got coming out for you. Do you still need that? Do you want to push this off? How are you feeling about, do you have enough of the routine? Also, we just launched paper towels. I would love for you to try this. I'd love to add a paper towel pack into your cart so you can try it out. You're gonna love it, see what you think, or whatever. We've had so many great products. It's just suggestive sell the new stuff, right? And or if I notice that they hadn't, like, they got a night serum back in January, I might be like, how are you doing on that night serum? Are you ready for a new one? I'll just add it into your cart. And I love that I can just edit this cart. And if they're like, oh, actually, I'm good, can we push it to the 1st? Or I'm good for a couple weeks, and I'll just go manage that. No, like, no stress, no drama for them. And it's just something then I know what PV is coming in there. Okay. And it also just makes it one less thing they have to worry about. I loathe auto ships that are so hard to manage and, like, just come and surprise me. And so, are just so hard to cancel. It happens with me all the time. And so I want to, like, make that never be someone's experience here. And the fact that we can edit it speaks volumes. And then I just know, or you can go through your customers who aren't on an auto ship and offer to start one for them, right? And go through that. And so I think that just keeps you in the driver's seat of your business and in control of kind of PV. And then you know what you have to go find a new PV. So I think that's ABC. And then you're going to go through and kind of see, you can actually go see where the subscribe and save are for your team projections for subscribe and save. So this is like a leadership step. You can go through and see, like, if I know who my leaders are, and I can go look at my team projection, and I see those leaders that have a lot of subscribe and save. I also can see the leaders that have no subscribe and save. So that might be a training opportunity. Be like, did you know that you can start really, like, let's focus on how to build the scaffolding up there so you have that passive base growing, right? You have that passive volume continuing to recur, because it's a lot harder to go start new orders every month versus just keeping passive things growing and accumulating. So, and then that's where you can look at mid-month, 15th. everything processes, and then you can kind of look, then you have 2 weeks left of the month to see where you're at. So you go back to those beginning of the month goals. The 15th, everything processes. You've got 2 auto ships. You know that passive income is there. Okay. And now you know where your holes are. Where does your focus need to be? If you know you've got, I need Dana and Tammy to get to a certain level for me to get to my goals, then I know where they're at. And then we can have a conversation, and I can start like, okay, let's organize an Instagram live. Let's start a business opportunity call. Sorry, the postman's here. And so they're keeping me safe. We can like get on a small group. Maybe they've got people that they need to help figure out. So we can talk through a virtual party or a pop-up or a home party, anything like that. That's where we start strategizing what do we need to do to start that runway. Like that might mean having a conversation with the spouse and being like, look, I need a couple extra work hours, right? Can you take the kids? Or sorry, hold on. I'm gonna yell. Hold on.
I kind of want to hear her yell.
No, you don't want to hear me yell. Mom look mad. So anyway, so you want to get really honest with where you're at with enough time so that you can build that momentum, right? And if that means then someone had said one of your leaders was like, I'm gonna get this, and then they haven't shown up for 2 weeks, and now you're mid-month checking in with them and they're like, yeah, well, I'm really bit, then right? You're like, okay, actions and words aren't aligning. I need to own this and go figure something else out. That also means you have 5 days to make your moves if you're going to move and have to restructure some things in your team. Remember, you only have one move for someone. So you don't want to just do this willy-nilly for a goal you're going to hit one time. But if you're looking at trends and you've seen, I would say give it a few months. If you're brand new, like give it some time before you move people, because you want to see let people figure things out for themselves, and it takes a while to build some momentum. But as of after the 15th, then you have until the 20th to make those moves. Okay. So it gives you a little bit of okay, now I see where my holes are. I see where these partnerships, these buddying up people would make sense. It is also a great time to celebrate and recognize again, like building that energy. I think recognition is a really great love language. It's also hard because we have ranks popping up every single day of the month, and it's not it's hard to track sometimes. So if you're just going to make sure you do it the 1st and the 15th, or you have certain times, it's a great way to kind of scoop up any recognition, anything that has you've missed. Now, recognition doesn't just have to be ranks, right? It's volume, it's leadership, it's recruiting, it's showing up, it's engagement, it's doing something out of their comfort zone, like hosting a party. Recognize all the things, the things I always look for. Like I said, my first couple of team calls, no one showed up. So I started my recognition way back in the day with people who are showing up. Those are the people, because I wanted to reinforce what I wanted to see, or what I needed to see to move forward. And then this is where you can if you're okay, I thought you were ready to fly on your own. You're not. Let's link arms. We're going to do this together. Okay. Because sometimes they're just not ready, right? You take the training wheels off and they're like, oh, I'm not ready. Okay. And then sometimes we get a little tired mid-month. Just revisit that vision board and remind yourself what you're doing this for. And get fired up again for yourself, because your energy is going to dictate the energy of everyone. Okay. And then we go to the end of the month. So the end of the month, just be present, especially if you got people that are working hard. This is definitely an end of month experience that, we used to have this every Wednesday night at Beachbody, but now it's just the last couple of days of the month. We want to, I'm okay, I'm going to clear my calendar. I know I'm going to be home. I'm going to be present. Not always is that an option, but I want to make sure I'm available if someone needs help, or if something is happening with technology, or someone just needs to get on a 3-way call or whatever, right? Just be present, be ready to cheer people on. We have some, especially the fact that someone might be 100 PV away from $100 bonus in, or, you know, like a $200 bonus or in boost or $100 bonus or product credit or whatever. And so like making sure you're letting people know, especially if they're new, like, hey, you're almost to these benefits, right? And so like just making sure you're on top of that. I would say just don't give up. A lot of people I'll see like be like a week away from, or 2 days away from the end of the month, and they're like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'm like, you still got time. Again, I've seen miracles literally happen in like the 11th hour. I see Dana nodding her head. Like, we've seen it. I've seen it. Like, I have seen it and I've lived it. When I was like, there's no way. And then all of a sudden it was just like, holy shiza, where did this come from? So, but that only happened like because we just were like, I'm pushing through. I think of like when I grew up playing baseball, and like I was taught, run through first, just run through it. You know, like just like it, like you're going 5 miles past it, like just run right through it. So I think of my end of the month, like just run right through it. I think that momentum like carries over into the beginning of the next month. Um, so, and then you got to balance really reminding someone of their goal. Like, again, this is the end of the month, kind of like it's that tap dance of like, I want to remind Dana what she's pushing for, you know, like support her, cheer her on, but like also not like burn her out. Or if she's like, I just don't have it in me, like my kid's sick, my dog's in the hospital, like what, like life is more important. Okay. The end of the month is when you stay in your phase one, do your follow-ups. Get on the phone. If you are like, do something different, shift the energy around. If you've just been checking in on Facebook or Instagram DMs, then like text them, give them a call, invite them to coffee, move, like try something different, get creative and have a fun offer. And then just celebrate, be proud of all of the work that you just put in for this entire month. Okay. So that's like the flow, and that'll come and go as you build that. And again, like if it's like, that's a lot, then start with one thing, just own one thing. And then next month, own something else. It'll feel like a lot until you just start doing it. And then it just becomes like this rhythm, and you can start teaching your team to do this too. And then it just builds the momentum. But I do think that it just comes back to getting really clear on what you want. Okay, what is your goal? And I don't say that with any, I recognize my goals are huge and not everyone has those goals. That's okay. Okay. Like truly, I want you to be happy here and successful here on your terms. What do you want? What are you working for and why? And then like own it. Own it. There's space for people who are here for the discount. There's space for people here who want to change the world, and everyone in between. And I think that that's the beautiful piece of it. So, but just get honest with yourself so that you can get honest with your upline and your community, you know, so that we are supporting each other in clear as kind, as Brene Brown says, clear as kind, unclear as unkind. Let's get clear, but you got to get clear with yourself. So it starts with those goals. And that's okay for those goals to change, get bigger, get smaller. There's like, I know we're coming up, like, for example, on summer break, and some moms have different goals in the summer because their life looks a little different. Their bandwidth and their ability to do certain things is different than during the school year, correct? So, does it mean you can't still crush it in the summer? No, but like that, everyone's got a different reality, and I'm not going to judge yours because I hope you don't judge mine. And there are days when I literally have so many farm animal things to take care of. I'm like, I don't have time to do anything on my computer. And that's just, that's why we do this, right? Like we do this because I get to decide my life. So, questions, thoughts?
I do want to ask, so how do you, when you have customers sign up, because that's great, but like you said, you want to start building that foundation of residual with renewal orders. I have not had anyone interested in doing subscribe and save. I think because when it's a first time trying a product, people want to try it before they put it on it. So is that something that you just are then following up and letting them know if they want to reorder to put it on that? Or is it something like that you can kind of tweak what you're talking to them about as a customer before they sign up to kind of nudge them to doing that and knowing they have the freedom to change it anytime?
Okay, so that's a great question. So because we had such a bad experience with auto ships previously, I was like not pushing it at all here and then no one signed up for it. And so Now I found that if I was just like kind of, I find the more you can be a little bossy in your sales conversations, like people like to be told what to do. Like if I have a salesperson in a clothing store, like you have to get those pants look fire on you. I'm like, yeah, I need these pants, right? Like, so be a little bossy, right? Be more sure. But if I'm like, oh my gosh, make sure you click the subscribe and save button. You're going to get free shipping and an extra 10% off. Don't worry, I'll edit that. We can cancel it anytime. I have full control over it. That's all I say. And I find that most people are like, okay, it's a lot harder for me than to go to the people who didn't and like get them. I find that I haven't finessed that conversation. It feels clunkier to me to go later. But if I just say that, then most of them do. And I'm like, oh, cool. That was easy. And not everyone will. And that's okay too. But yeah, that's how I do it. I don't know if anyone, Tammy, do you do it
So
different?
just like a click the box at the checkout, free shipping,
Yeah, I
okay.
said make
I like
sure,
that.
yeah, make sure to click that subscribe and save box. It will give you free shipping and save an extra 10% off. And don't worry, it's not like one of those auto ships that are like, lock you in for eternity. I actually can edit that for you and we'll make sure we talk before it ever reships.
Okay, awesome.
I'll just say like, I got you there. Don't worry. It's something
Yeah.
like that. They're like, okay. But then you have to make sure you got them, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Have a system for that too. Yeah.
cool. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, being a micromanager isn't fun. I have zero desire. Oh my gosh. I have zero desire to like be anyone's manager. And that's where I'm like, okay, you don't want to do anything, don't do anything. I'm not your mom. I'm not your boss. But if you want to show up and run alongside me, then yeah, if you want to walk, I'll walk with you. If you want to sprint, I'll sprint. But like, I don't like, oh my gosh, you want to lose me as a friend for life, micromanage me. So I also don't want to micromanage someone else. But I do like a cheerleader. I do need to be cheered on sometimes. And sometimes I need to be reminded because I'm a hot mess and I'm ADD and I have the terrible memory. And so sometimes I just need to be like, someone be like, hey, weren't we going to do that thing tomorrow? I'm like, oh, shit. So there's a balance there, right? There's just, my friends know to help be my brain half the time of like, hey, James, we were going to do a team training and I haven't seen anything. Do you want me to do that for you? Or something like that. And I'm like, no, I got it. Thank you for the reminder. So I think it's a balance. Okay. I know we've been on for an hour, so we can end here, but if anyone has any questions or I hope this was helpful. I want, if there's follow-up, and again, just start, meet yourself where you're at, but do stretch yourself. So, okay. Have a great day, you guys. Love seeing you all. Thanks for hopping on and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.